Hi guys, today is the week 3 of my cold outreach challenge and I already have some results. So today we're gonna talk about some wins, some failures, some unexpected outcomes. I will also share my thoughts on, my cold outreach strategy, what I'm planning to change, what I'm planning to keep, and let's just get going. Let's start with some numbers. In my last video, I promised or set out to create and publish one lead magnet, do a little bit of nurturing for one of my leads prospects, and send out 60 cold outreach messages. Now let's go through this one by one. Lead magnet, done. Nurture one prospect, done. Send out 60 messages, halfway there, and I'll explain why in a minute. And get a job offer, done, although unexpectedly. So what's up with the outreach? Why is it only 30 messages? Turns out that prospecting is incredibly hard. I very much underestimated how much time it would take me to do my prospect research and just collect all the right information. Believe it or not, but it took me 2 days just to get 30 contacts. In addition to that, I do all of my outreach manually, like really manually. I have a message template in my Notion dashboard. It's just a Notion page. I have a message template that I adjust based on the recipient and what the company needs. So my process is more or less efficient, but I don't do this mass outreach with just certain parameters that get swapped automatically. And honestly, only part of it is me being a cheapskate. A huge part of it is by design. I find that manual outreach feels more personal, more humane, I don't know. And it does yield me better results. For example, my response rate, whatever it is 50%. I know I only send 30 messages, so it is not enough to have valid statistics, but still, every other person replied to my message. Not every response was positive, but every other person replied. That's something. And there's also something to be said about LinkedIn jobs. Normally, you would expect that when you click on next page, the next page will be filled with 20 new job opportunities. But on LinkedIn, what you get is out of this 20, 15 will be the same job ads you have already seen or interacted with, and only the 5 other job ads will be the new ones. And out of these 5, you have to try and find the one that actually fits your ICP. So this process is definitely not scalable, and mind you, I still have client work to do, I have my social media to manage, and there's always admin work, there's housework, there's a lot to do. Now onto your responses. Naturally, many of them were negative, so people were saying that they would rather have something in-house, but there were some not necessarily positive replies. I do not consider them a yes, but they were maybes, and some of these maybes were very strong maybes. So for example, I got one response where the person said that they would like to talk to me in a month when the budgeted season is in full swing and they're actually looking for freelancers for next year. So that's something. Again, it's not a signed contract, and I've learned the hard way that the lead can ghost you pretty much at any stage. And then 2 more prospects asked for my portfolio, so that's already like moving on to the next stage. So all in all, it looks like my approach is working, aka doing it manually and also giving people an opportunity to quote-unquote opt out. I literally say that you can always tell me it's a no-go for you. As for the use cases, I'm not giving up on the idea of getting in contact with hiring managers altogether, but I think for the next 2 weeks, I would like to do more of this traditional cold outreach. So what I want to do is I want to search for companies that are growing. If I see that they're growing, they have just closed a round of funding, but they haven't been doing much content, then yeah, I'm gonna pitch my services. So that's that about my results with cold outreach. And now on to my thoughts about lead nurturing. 3 words: it does not work. It's actually four words. It does not work. Okay, a more complex answer would probably be it does, but it depends on how you do it and how much time you spend on it. But the way I did it, it clearly doesn't work. So there are these certain industry standards, and for organic, they usually say that it takes about 6 months. 6 months, yes, 6 months for a lead to convert. So I believe that if I followed the best practices, if I actually nurtured this particular lead for 6 months, they would have converted. Or at least they would have not ghosted me. So long story short, I think I'm not gonna do it anymore. What I'm gonna replace it with is my usual networking. I joined a few communities, so I'm just gonna introduce myself there and say that I'm based in Hamburg now. By the way, I'm based in Hamburg now. And I'm open for a coffee chat. And then if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And now the lead magnet. It kind of worked, but not really in a way that I expected. So I got a few signups, but they were not within my ICP, and their reach was much worse compared to my other posts. So I figured that given how much time I spend on creating these lead magnets, I'm just not gonna do them for now. And of course, part of me was like, oh, but I want a high reach and I want a high follower count. But in moments like this, I have to pause and ask myself, what is my end goal? My end goal is to get revenue. My end goal is to ensure I have a profitable business. I'm not an influencer. Of course, I would like to have more followers on my account, because now on LinkedIn you can also do brand partnerships, and the entry barrier is much lower than on YouTube or Instagram or any other social media platform, so that it would be a nice additional income stream. But again, this is not my goal, at least not right now. So I have to focus on things that actually move my business forward, aka cold outreach. So let's talk about the unexpected, a sudden job offer.
What, are you planning to go back to corporate?
Trust me when I say I wasn't looking for a job. I really wasn't. But one of my acquaintances reached out to me. They said that they really like my content and they invited me for a chat. So this person is from quite a well-known agency, and they work with some really big brands like HubSpot and Teamviewer and some others. And they just scouted me. They said that they really like my approach to content, they really like my views on it, and they wanted me to work for them. Right now we're still discussing it. So the job offer as they made it sounded quite tempting, to be honest. The salary is quite good, and the job description itself honestly sounded very interesting. Not to mention that all these big logos that they've got will put me in a much better position in terms of my own business. So I'm not sure what I should do. Despite receiving this job offer, I'm not giving up on this challenge. If anything, it actually made me more confident in what I'm doing, because now I know that my skills, my expertise are in demand. And honestly, even if my approach doesn't work out, even if everyone ghosts me, I still have this backup plan. So it kind of made me more okay with rejection, if it makes sense. More confident, that's for sure. So the final section of this video, what am I gonna do next? I already briefly touched on this new use case I want to test out, and basically I'm getting back to traditional cold outreach. I'm just gonna do my research. I'm gonna find companies that are growing and that are in need of content services, and I'm gonna reach out to them. Also, now that I've learned from experience, my goal for the next 2 weeks will be to send out 30 messages exactly, irrespective of the use case. I still do not want to give up on this hiring managers use case, whatever. I still want to send out a few messages, maybe 10, maybe a little bit less, we'll see. Again, prospecting takes a lot of time. I feel like there is still some potential there, and given that 2 leads asked for my portfolio and one of them actually just got back to me and asked for the pricing, it only confirms my assumptions. So we're focusing on the number, not on the use case, and let's see where it takes us. In addition to that, I'm gonna introduce myself in 3 networking communities. I feel like I'm one of these people who can either do cold outreach or networking, but they cannot do this in between, where you kind of pretend to do networking, but you're actually pitching your services. So I'm gonna stick to basics. I'm gonna do just your typical cold outreach and just your typical networking. And with that, I'm gonna finish this video. Let me know if you like this format, if you are, again, team success or team failure, and as always, I wish you a great day and I will see you next time. Bye bye.